Jabez was one of those guys. He struggled with feelings of being unwanted, being unloved. His sense of shame and rejection was such a big handicap in his life. And he was very aware of his imperfection. And he struggled with depression. Maybe you're here tonight and you are serving God. You're giving all your waking and your sleeping hours to the house of God. And yet you struggle with many things that happened in your past. You struggle with many things that when you think about, you still shudder today. So Jabez prayed in verse 10. He prayed, God, use me in spite of my weaknesses, in spite of my pain, my depression, my imperfection. Make my life count. Help me not to cause pain or sorrow to people anymore. I want to serve you and your kingdom purpose. I want to be used mightily by you. One of the things I realized as I served God all these years is that I realized that the Bible truly is called the accuser of the brethren. When the Bible says that he accuses us, he really does that 24/7. All day long, condemning us, trying to tell us to quit, trying to tell us to give up on our dreams and our visions, that we are not going to make it. And we feel like giving up. We feel like throwing the towel. You know, I remember the first time I preached my first sermon, I was 19 years old in a small Anglican church in Singapore, 60 members. We have a youth service, about 30 people. I was still in the army. 19 years old, I was given my first chance to preach. So I prepared, I worked hard all week, I prayed, I fasted, I prepared the sermon notes, and I gave it the best shot. At the end of the service, there was one young girl from St. Andrew's Junior College, also an Anglican school. She came up to me and she said, you know what, Kong, that must be the worst sermon I ever heard in my whole life. My chapel in school is boring enough, but this is worse than the worst. You will never make it as a speaker. You might as well just give up. And just for your information, FYI, I am not going to come back to church again because you are so boring. I went back that night, and I felt so discouraged. And I felt like, God, I'm not going to make it. God, I'm never going to be a preacher. But you know, as I grow in the ministry as a pastor of City Harvest Church, I realized that handling shame and rejection is a constant challenge, not just once, but all throughout your life. I realized that the bigger your vision is, the more you're going to fight the condemnation of the devil, even all the time, even more often. It is not just a one-time deal. I have found that with every new level, there's always a new devil.